Okay, dokie. Ah! That's a good way to start a video. With blood. It's okay. I always got some bandages nearby. Alright, I have been wanting to make a video on this knife. And I have not done it. I don't have any time to sit down and make a video. It takes long enough to freaking edit a video, put everything together. So I figured I've got plenty of time to drive to work, so I'm just gonna get into it. So let's talk about the Varga VBR. I wish I knew more about this knife. Not the Varga VBR, I'm talking about this particular Varga VBR. And what I mean is, I got this in a trade. Damn. Dude, that detent is so heavy. I got it. That's a freaking heavy detent, man. I'm telling you. That is a really nice detent. If you can't even pop it down without some serious freaking force, that's a really heavy detent. So anyway, I don't know what gen this is. I got this in a trade. It doesn't have a box. I have just wanted a Varga VBR so long. I just had the opportunity to get one, and I did. What I trade for it? I traded a Jack Wolf Javelina Jack. Nope. Yeah, it was a Javelina Jack. And Jack Wolf makes some really awesome knives. You'll never hear anybody talking crap about Jack Wolf knives.
No, ever!
Jack Wolf knife is $300. So, price on these guys, I'm pretty sure they run from the manufacturer. I think I want to say $300. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. These things are not just floating around all over the place. They're kind of hard to find. I will do some looking again before I make the before I publish this. But yeah. All right. So, what do you like about the Varga VBR, Jeff? So, I recently got rid of a lot of knives. I didn't have a lot of knives anyway. My collection has gone from as high as maybe 20 knives down to now I've got like 7. I got rid of a lot of stuff just because, you know, for different reasons. But I don't have but a, you know, small handful of knives now. And I'm really glad that, you know, I've had this listed plenty, but nobody has shown any interest in it. And I think that's just because not a lot of people know really much about Varga. Varga, I mean, I don't know anything about Varga either. I know they make dope knives. I don't even know that they have any other models. All I know is Varga VBR. I know that they are made by Riat. So anything made by Riat is going to be top shelf. This particular Varga VBR is, like I said, I don't know what gen it is. It is not the newest gen. These studs were added on here. The newest generations of these have thumb studs as well, but they you can see the logo, like you can tell that these were added because the stud is going right through the logo there. You can barely even see it. So the newer ones, yeah, have studs. They come with studs. So normally they've only had just the flipper. So what do I like about this knife? Really, so I like everything about this knife. When I'm looking at, for me to enjoy a knife, what I like, what I would like to see on a knife, if I could like custom, I want a knife with this, and that. I think the Varga VBR, it really does check all of those boxes. I probably would prefer a deeper style clip, but this clip works fine. Milled titanium. I have no qualms at all with this clip. I don't have any problems with it. In and out of the pocket, it's very functional. Works just fine. I prefer a frame lock knife, but this is a bolster lock, which a bolster lock is basically a frame lock with overlays. For the most part. I mean, it's a freaking frame lock, dude. It's just only accessible at the bolster. So, I mean, it's not much different than a frame lock at all. The only benefit of a bolster lock, like for instance with my Arius, or any frame lock, if you're holding it like this, if you're holding it wrong to where you are pushing on that lock bar, it's going to make it harder to open. You're going to have to, it's just, it feels like something's not catching it. It just feels like it's not opening properly. Well, it's because you're putting pressure on that lock bar. With a bolster lock, you don't have to worry about that. You're never going to be choking up that high to where you're applying pressure on the bolster. So that's nice. I haven't really had too many bolster locks, but I'm sorry. Yeah, I've never had too many bolster locks. I can't even think. I don't know that I've had any bolster locks before other than this. I probably have. I'd have to sit down and think about it, but I don't think that I have. So, what else do I like about this knife? This knife has very good ergos. Look at how the blade is just. It's all flowing together. It's very appealing to the eye. Looks good. Nice, smooth, rounded edges. We've got a beautiful blade. I love the blade grinds on here. This has been given a mirror edge, but when I first got this blade, I thought that it looked like if a Chavez 229 Redención, hold on. If a Chavez 229 Tonto, a Chavez 229 drop point, and a Chavez 229 Liberation drop point, all three of those, if they were to come together and have a blade baby, there it is. And Chavez are also made by Riot. It is a drop point, but we've got a very, very thin. This thing is very, very thin behind the edge. This thing is extremely sharp. Very thin behind the edge. And then we come up here and we've got a compound grind. And the tip we have a flat ground. And even that flat ground is still very thin. That thing is, very sharp. I like the way the grind is up here. It's just a beautiful blade. I absolutely love it. It's got a detent ball ramp, which you can't really tell. You can't really know for. I knew it had a detent ball ramp just from the way. A detent ball ramp is going to be like a freaking little tiny baby ramp that curves like this, and it's just so that when that detent ball hits the blade, it's like a ramp up. So it's literally, you don't have to put hardly any pressure to close it. A lot of times you get to that frustrating halfway point to where, like right here, it's not over the ball, it's like right on the ball, it's like sitting on that ball. And then a lot of times you get to that point and it's difficult getting over that hump. But when you've got a detent ball ramp, it's very easy. The Koenig Arius has a very big detent ball ramp, and so it's almost non-existent, the whole middle ground there. Now, My first choice, if I were to pick checking boxes of my favorite things about knives, my favorite choice would be like a McNeese or a custom, to where the detent ball is literally right up there. Chris Reeves, same way. Spartan Harsey Folger, same way. That detent ball is so high up that as soon as you unlock it, it's gonna either snap back, and it's either gonna go back where it came from, or it's gonna be over that ball. So as soon as you unlock it and tilt it at all, it's already ready to go. But when you've got a detent ball ramp, it's pretty close to that, because there's not a lot of area to where it's just having to get over that, initial hump. What else do I like about this knife? The micarta on here. Typically, I'm not a fan of micarta, and I'm just not a micarta guy. But these micarta scales or overlays, I have no problem with. They're very smooth. Typically, I worry about micarta getting dirty and getting oil in it from your hands, and over time just becoming pretty nasty. This micarta has like a almost like a protective, like I feel like, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like it's plastic or something. It's not your typical micarta. It's they did a really good job on the micarta. I don't know micarta language, but it's you see how it's shiny. Typically micarta is like cloth or something, but this micarta is more like, I feel like I could just, Windex or alcohol pad or something and just, clean that off. I don't think that would, typically micarta, after a lot of use, it just becomes kind of grimy and gross. This micarta, I don't see that being an issue with. And this knife is probably pretty old to begin with. I don't know how old it is. I don't know anything about it. But when I got this knife, it was in superb condition. There wasn't anything wrong at all. Now, since it's been in my possession, you know how I am with my knives. But even still, it's not bad. There is one area right up here. You can kind of see that on the very bottom. That's from when I tried to throw it at a tree and missed. Hit the ground, and when that happened, I said, you know what? This is not even a bad thing. And I did there's a couple tiny little baby nicks up here from when it hit the ground. Sometimes I'm just like, dude, you need to throw this at this tree and see what happens. Sometimes I throw a knife at a tree and it freaking goes right in there, and it's just like, man, that's a good feeling, dude. When you throw a knife at a tree and it sticks, dude, you're just like, man, nobody can stop me, dude. Nobody.
That's a true statement.
I tried that with the Varga one time. It didn't work out so well, but I said, you know what, dude? Who cares? Just make this your everyday knife, dude. Don't even try to sell it anymore. Just keep it and use it, It's a freaking great knife, dude. I absolutely love this knife. Ergos are fine. I like that there is a finger choil, so even that handle is kind of, it's not the biggest handle. It gets all four hands there, all four fingers there, but if you want to choke up, you definitely can. I don't ever really use my knives much, man. Unfortunately, I do work in valet. I park cars. I freaking, what do I need a knife for, other than to play with and throw at a tree every now and then? It's not like, when I use knives, it's for like cutting paper, if I need to cut coupons, like I've got sheets of like leaving and coming back slips. So every now and then, like once a month, I'll have to, you know, because why would I use scissors when I have a freaking knife, dude? That's a razor sharp. I mean, if I need to use scissors too, I have scissors. I always have scissors. But, you know, I don't mind using a knife. Typically I prefer a Tonto over a drop point. I think Chavez has some of the best looking Tontos out there. I prefer either a Tonto or a Wharncliffe. Drop points, you know, whatever. I love, some of my favorite knives are drop points. I just prefer a Tonto or a Wharncliffe style blade. This feels like it could, I mean, the blade, it almost, it reminds me of like an Arcane Abyss. You know, we've got a really subtle Tonto merge with a drop point situation. And these style of blades are just really good for really everything. I mean, cutting boxes, cutting paper, cutting anything. They're just great. Detent, excellent detent. The detent on this sucker is really, really heavy. I mean, like I said, I couldn't even. That's a heavy freaking detent, man. I don't know any knife that I can't. I mean, I can get it, but I've really got to try, dude. Very impressive detent. Also, this thing is running on a track. So, like similar to a smock or a cormorant, the Arius runs on a track, meaning that if you were to have X-ray vision and you could see through this on the blade right here on the blade, there is a hole cut out, like a upside down U. And then in the frame, there is a bar that is going through that hole. And so it's a track. The knife runs along that track. So that, I mean, it's never gonna, I mean, I don't know how to say what I'm thinking, but when a knife is running on tracks, you don't ever have to worry. I mean, you really don't have to worry. When you have nicer knives anyway, you don't really have to worry about much of anything. But knives that run on tracks are typically very smooth. This thing has got ball bearings. I took it apart and cleaned it yesterday. So I kind of know a little bit more about the knife. That was the first time in a month or more that I've had the knife, and I took it apart, cleaned it, put some lube on the bearings, even though with ball bearings, you don't even need lube, dude. You really don't. But I put a drop or two on the bearings. So we got ball bearings on a track system. What else can I say about this knife? The action is absolutely great. I mean, it's not a total guillotine, but it is very, very smooth. Very smooth. If you just leave it alone, sure, it's not going to straight fall, but you give it a little tiny bit of force, and just extremely smooth. This is for my fidget needs. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Could it be better? Sure it could. I mean, but there is hardly any room for complaint here. I mean, hardly any room for complaint, especially when you're dealing with a $300 knife. Now, if this was a $500 knife or a $600 knife, now if this thing were to be made in America, it probably would be a $400 or $500 knife. And maybe in that instance, I might expect a little better action. But it's really hard to complain about the action at all. We don't have any jimping on here, which sure, do I like jimping? Sure, I do. I don't really care for like Chavez style jimping. It just seems unnecessary.
I don't think that's necessary.
I'm glad that Chavez, with the new kickstops, they took away the jimping on the back of the spine there. Or not the spine, the body. They took away the jimping up here, which I'm glad that they did, because they had jimping on the blade. It's like 3 notches. Just 3 gigantic notches, dude. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that big ass jimping. I prefer, like, the Sangre doesn't have any jimping. The Liberations don't have any jimping. Only the Redenciones, the 229s Redenciones have the jimping on the Chavez. But I would prefer no jimping to crazy jimping. A jimping that I really love would be like a McNeese. McNeese, I think, make the absolute perfect jimping. The Microtech Annex has like micro jimping almost. It's very, very, now they got jimping elsewhere. I'm talking about the back of this blade jimping. The Annex jimping is perfect. I absolutely love it. Those are just 2 knives that stick out in my head as having good, they did jimping really well. I think that's about it. That's about all I can say about the knife. I've already gone on for 20 minutes, so that's plenty. This is a full titanium as well. Full titanium. There's not any milling in there, but it's really not even necessary. It's really thin titanium. Look at that. It's real thin. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna mill that? No. No, ever. So yeah, Varga VBR, good to go. I love it. I would like to get another one day. Maybe get a newer generation. They've got some fat carbon ones. Yeah, Varga VBR really makes a great product. So go get you one. Peace. See you later.